Hi, my name is André Zenner and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Saarland University and the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence in Saarbrücken, Germany. In the following, I'm happy to present our paper Beyond the Blink, investigating combined saccadic and blink-suppressed hand redirection in virtual reality, which is joint work together with my co-authors Chiara, Karr, Martin Feick, Oscar Ariza and Antonio Krüger. To start off with motivating our work, consider the following VR scene. In this scene, when the user reaches out to touch the left bunny, she receives appropriate haptic feedback thanks to a physical proxy. Somewhat surprisingly, however, the user also receives appropriate haptic feedback when touching the right bunny. To achieve this, the scene employs a technique known as hand redirection. As sketched here on the left, hand redirection manipulates the user's real hand movement by introducing an offset between the user's physical and virtual hands that corresponds to the offset between a physical and virtual reaching target. In goal-directed reaching, users then compensate for this offset by steering their real hand towards the physical target in order to reach the virtual target with the virtual hand. This idea of hand redirection is not new, and in recent years many researchers have investigated its potential to improve, for example, haptic feedback or ergonomics in VR. Being a perceptual illusion technique, hand redirection works best when the introduced offset and thus the manipulation of the hand movement remains unnoticed by users. Looking at how conventional hand redirection techniques work, we can observe that they interpolate the hand offset during the reach in plain sight, ignoring the user's visual state. This, however, seems far from optimal since visual perception plays a key role in detecting hand manipulation. To account for that, we have previously proposed the technique of blink-suppressed hand redirection, which utilizes the change blindness that occurs during eye blinks. According to perceptual sciences, users are likely to miss visual changes during moments of change blindness, which renders change blindness a great tool to hide the injection of hand offsets. Our previous results could show that this technique can realize hand redirection without manipulating the user's hand in plain sight, but the technique still suffers from two central drawbacks. Firstly, redirection fails if the user doesn't blink in time. And secondly, the technique was not found to lead to increased magnitudes of unnoticeable redirection. To overcome these limitations, our goal in this paper now was to come up with an improved hand redirection technique that is less detectable and more comfortable than conventional techniques. But how could this be achieved? For this, consider the following scenario. The user is inside a virtual room and we assume that the user is about to reach out to some target, but before or while performing the reach, the user is to choose their favorite location for hiding an additional Easter egg in the environment. To do so, the user might check out the virtual cupboard on the left, then check out locations on the right, and finally opt for a location on the cupboard. Now, looking at the scene again, the location of the virtual hand inside the virtual room has changed, compared to where the hand has started out on the first slide I showed. It is now likely that the user, and maybe even you, has missed the injection of the hand offset because it happened during a saccade. Saccades are quick rotations of the eyeballs, which we constantly perform when we change from one visual fixation to another. Just like blinks, saccades are known to be accompanied by change blindness, a trick that has been investigated already to enhance the redirected walking technique, but that has never been used to improve hand redirection before. To change that, in this paper, we present saccadic and blink-suppressed hand redirection, short SBHR. The first unified hand redirection technique that combines the conventional approach of gradual hand drifting with offsets injected during moments of change blindness. The technique uses eye tracking to detect both blinks and saccades. Conceptually, the technique is an extension of the elegant redirection technique by Cheng and colleagues proposed at KAI 2017. Just like the original algorithm, SBHR applies gradual warping when the user's eyes are open. In contrast to the conventional technique, however, the technique injects a fraction of the target offset instantaneously when a saccade is detected. The magnitude of the saccadic hand jump is selected based on a perceptual model which we have recently published at VRST 2023, ensuring the jump is below corresponding detection thresholds. Similarly, SBHR injects hand offsets during blinks, which are likewise scaled to be below detection thresholds found in our previous work on blink-suppressed hand redirection. In contrast to previous algorithms, however, SBHR utilizes every single saccade and blink detected during redirection to reduce the offset that needs to be introduced with gradual drifting. To evaluate our novel approach, we conducted a psychophysical experiment with 25 participants in which we compared SBHR to the conventional algorithm by Cheng and colleagues, and to the two variants that would only use blinks or only saccades. To measure the magnitude of hand redirection that goes unnoticed with the techniques, each trial in our study requested participants to reach twice. Firstly, without hand redirection being applied, and secondly, with activated redirection, the magnitude of which was driven by an adaptive up-down method. After both reaches, participants were to indicate whether both hand movements felt the same or different. Comfort-related aspects like the subjectively perceived intrusiveness and detectability were assessed with post-experiment questionnaires. To incentivize active eye movement, the task during each reach was to briefly check by visual search if one or two eggs were hidden in the scene. The following clip shows a trial. Detected blinks and saccades are indicated in the lower right. Here, no redirection is applied during the first reach, while SBHR is applied during the second reach. Now, looking at the results of our study, we found detection thresholds to be significantly greater when also using saccades compared to only using hand drifting. Given these results, we can conclude that saccades allow for around 20% more unnoticeable redirection than the conventional technique. In line with previous research, blinks alone were not found to result in significant improvements, and this is likely because they occur much more rarely. In our study, for example, we found blink-induced offsets to be applied only in every fourth trial, while saccade-induced offsets occurred in almost every trial. Considering the subjective perception of being redirected, our study showed that blink and saccade-injected offsets are perceived as significantly less intrusive than the conventional approach of hand drifting. In line with that, both blink and saccade-induced jumps were also found to be significantly less noticeable than drifting. To hide saccadic offsets even better, we recommend using faster eye trackers in future work, as they would allow to inject offsets even closer to saccade onset where visual suppression is strongest. Thus, overall, saccades seem to be the most valuable addition to hand drifting when it comes to improving hand redirection due to their reduced intrusiveness and noticeability in combination with the very high likelihood of occurrence. Looking at future work, we like to highlight the importance of choosing the right jump magnitudes. In our study, these were informed by the results of psychophysical experiments, and our results support this choice. Nonetheless, it will be interesting to consider tailoring the size of hand jumps to individual users, tasks, or scenes, and to predict the occurrence of blinks and saccades for redirection planning. Moreover, we found that in our study, offsets were often injected already before reach onset, as users were frequently searching the scene before starting to reach. This is a great opportunity for injecting offset, but requires reach target prediction if used in real-world applications. And finally, our results might be linked to the particular scenario tested in our study, and we encourage future work to study different scenarios that involve more or less eye movement to investigate the generalizability of SBHR. So, in conclusion, in this paper, we introduced the first hand redirection algorithm that makes use of saccades and combines saccade-induced hand offsets with gradual hand drifting and blink-suppressed shifts. Our results show that this approach leads to hand redirection that is harder to detect and generally perceived as less intrusive compared to conventional approaches. More details, the pseudocode of our novel technique, and links to related GitHub repositories can be found in our paper. Thank you.